Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mohsin and this is Aya, and together we're the Gym Doctors. We're both GPs in the UK, and essentially we've started this channel a little while back once we started our own health and wellbeing journeys a couple of months ago, and the aim was that we can get what we've learned on our journeys, a little bit of knowledge out to everyone else out there who might be looking to start their own health and wellbeing journeys.
Hello everyone, I'm Yahya and this is Mohsin, of course. We just need to say again that this is for entertainment, this is not a medical advice, and this is our experience. Please always consult your professional trainer or your doctor before carrying out any exercises. And why don't we start?
Right. So like I discussed in the previous video, we went through just the basics of physical activity and exercise, what you should be aiming for, how much you should be doing, stuff like that. If you haven't seen that, please go check out the previous video. But now, like I mentioned at the end of the video, we'll talk about that in a bit more detail, talk about what exactly you should be aiming for, what you should be building up your whole week as, how many days of physical activity, how many days of cardiovascular exercise, how many days of essentially strength training, so we'll break that down in a bit more detail today.
We will not be going into details about specific situations, like someone who's having problems or having disability or anything like that. We would just talk in this video about the basics, people who are basically starting, and what the target, set a target at the beginning, and what you should be aiming for at this stage.
And like I just said, we will be touching on those topics, more specific scenarios later on in further episodes, so stay tuned for that. Actually, like we discussed in the last video, the minimum aim is 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week. That's for everyone out there, and if you're doing some vigorous physical activity, you're looking at maybe 75 minutes a week.
So moderate physical activity are things like brisk walking, like active walking, not window shopping walking, water aerobics, and if you're riding a bike, dancing, playing something like tennis, or even if you have a house and a garden, pushing the lawnmower is considered as a moderate activity. Hiking, rollerblading, these are examples of the moderate intensity exercises. The vigorous activity exercises are things that you do more actively, that are causing you to start sweating or increasing your heart rate, like running, swimming, or riding a bike so fast, or on a hill, walking upstairs, not just one level, but walking properly upstairs. Sports like football, rugby, netball, hockey, aerobic exercises, gymnastics, or of course martial arts.
All right, so that essentially constituted a couple of examples that you could be looking at. Now there's another kind of, if you go even higher than vigorous activity, you can go into a bit of very vigorous activity.
We will be touching on that because this includes heavyweight lifting, which is part of what we are going through in this channel, circuit training, sprinting uphills, interval running, running upstairs. So we mentioned going multiple levels, or spinning classes.
So keeping essentially that in mind, now what we're aiming to look at is, if you're trying to break down your whole week, and depending on your level of physical activity, then you should be aiming for roughly around 3 to 4 days of you could say resistance training in a week. and resistance training would generally count as either vigorous or very vigorous physical activity, because that will normally entail lifting heavy weights. All right, and along with those 3 to 4 days, what you should be aiming for is roughly around, say, another maybe 2 or 3 days, 4 days if you can, essentially of some cardiovascular exercise, so such as walking, running, jogging, and stuff like that. Now we'll talk in a bit more detail about how exactly to divide that, because I know when I mentioned the total number of days I've counted is around 8. 3 to 4 for each, but obviously you don't have 8 days in a week. So how exactly do we divide that down? A bit more detail about how you should be structuring your workout routine and your pattern. Basically what we recommend is, what we're talking about is more of a, you could say, a hybrid exercise plan. We're not talking about anything specific to bodybuilding or just specific to for someone, for example, endurance athletes and long distance runners, because they have very specific requirements. So we'll be discussing those later on as we go along. But for now, we'll just go through a bit of a hybrid plan, which would be suitable for pretty much normal everyday routine gym goers or people looking to start their health and well-being, their fitness journeys. Now, like we said, if we're taking 90 minutes a day into consideration, you should be looking at somewhere around 4 days a week on average. You can divide it into however you like throughout the week. So you've got an option for 3 essentially days where you'll be taking some time off, you're not going to the gym. So out of those 90 minutes, like I mentioned earlier, you're looking at maybe 20 to 30 minutes of cardio. So anything that gets your heart rate up, gets you sweating. And then you're looking at maybe around roughly 60 to maybe 70 minutes, depending on how much cardio you're doing, of time that will give you some time to lift weights, so resistance training. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. The rest is as important as exercising. The rest is what gives your body the chance to build muscles, to recover from the exercises. So usually recommended a day of rest after a day of exercising, and it should not be absolute rest. So you don't just stay in bed or stay on the couch in front of TV all the time. No, you should be doing something light. If you go back to the part where we talked about light exercises, you should be doing that on this day.
Yeah. So now let's talk about what you should be structuring your day as generally when you're going to the gym. So we've already discussed, cardiorespiratory, or cardio in short, is essentially exercise that you're doing to get your heart rate up. That could be something as simple as a brisk walk on the treadmill, or maybe something along the lines of, if you prefer, you can use a stationary bike or even the Stairmaster, for example, at the gym. Now that should be straightforward, covering 20-30 minutes of that in your 90-minute session. The rest of that 90-minute session would essentially come down to resistance training and strength training. Now generally what we recommend is you get your, because if you follow the bodybuilding split, you normally get a single body part every day, which is not something that everyone will be following, and it's something that is a bit more time consuming. So we would normally recommend combining different exercises. So you go with compound exercises generally as a first rule of thumb. Compound exercises are the exercises that work major muscle groups in tandem, which normally means squats, bench presses, deadlifts, and overhead presses. These are all compound movements. So those are what you should be incorporating largely into your resistance training routine. And apart from that, so we could divide your day. For example, day one, you're looking at, for example, a full body strength training session where you're doing maybe squats, bench presses, and rows, 3 to 4 sets at a time, and 8 to 12 repetitions. That's a rough rule of thumb. That should be more than enough generally for the vast majority of us. and then day 2, for example, you take some time off because you did full body strength training session the day previous. You need some time off to give the body some time to recover, like Yahya mentioned already. And then day 3, do you want to delve into that?
Yeah, I just want to mention that all the exercises are available on the channel, so you will find videos of all the mentioned exercises. You don't have to stick with these exercises. Whatever suits you, just choose from them. Then the aim is to move, and as long as you are moving, we are doing something. Most of the exercises that we showed are called isotonic exercises, where the muscle is moving actually with the exercise. There is a different type of exercise called isometric exercise, where the muscle doesn't move. It's just the tension inside the muscle increases. This is more suitable for people who are having problems with their joints or having difficulty with the movement. So even doing some tension in the muscle is considered an exercise. For day 3, again, the 90-minute, you always start with some warm-up, but you should, with this day, you should start focusing on the body. Usually it's advised to divide the body into parts to exercise. We would recommend that day 3, like what we do, is upper body, so your chest, your arms, your back, and your forearms as well. You can add the tummy exercises in that abdomen. Of course, some people don't like to do that. Some people like to do that all the time.
Yeah,
I do the tummy exercises all the time. Every time I go to the gym, that's part of my routine, which I think it's helpful. It keeps you keeps you fit, but it takes a little bit of time. So that gets on the expenses of the weightlifting. That's for day 3, and for day 4.
Well, I'll take day 4 because day 4 is generally something that I normally love doing. It's essentially leg day. So like I mentioned, we divide it into upper and lower. So when it comes to your lower part, it's mainly your legs. So day 3 would be legs, essentially looking into maybe squats, lunges, deadlifts, which actually reminds me, we don't have lunges on our channel. I think we might want to do that later.
Wait for that video.
Yeah, we'll actually sort that out hopefully soon. But those are the things that you want to look into. Deadlifts, again, it's a bit controversial. You can even add them into your maybe upper body if you're training them with your back, but goes either way. So that would be day 4. So you've done a bit of cardiovascular exercise, you've done a bit of lower body training. So now what we've already covered is you've done day 1 full body, all right, you've got a whole workout done. Day 2 bit of rest. Day 3 you've got a bit of upper body strength training. Day 4 bit of lower body strength training. So now you see how we divided it. Day 3 and 4 you do 2 days back to back, because you're training different body parts. So your upper body will actually get some rest and recovery on day 4 because you're not really using it that much, and your lower body will get a bit of rest on day 3. So that divides out. Now we come back down to day 5.
Yes, I just want to mention that all the exercises that we mentioned are 3 to 4 sets. Each set is 8 to 12 repetitions, and each day you should end the day with some moderate intensity activity that's for 20 to 30 minutes. For day 5, we are going back to day 1. We are doing full body strength again, and 3 to 4 sets again, then followed by the 20 to 30 minutes. Now you get a grab of what need to be done. You start with full body, with incorporating both intensity and muscle. Next day you are taking rest. Next day you are doing upper body, lower body, then whole body, then take rest, and you repeat again. This is called the hybrid plan, and this hybrid plan most likely is suitable for most people. The other more specific plans we will be talking about in the next few videos.
All right, and I think we'll call that a wrap for today.
Yeah.
So we'll call that time out, and we'll see you in another 2 weeks with a new video, and we'll go into a bit more detail about stuff that we've discussed, and might do we have a topic for the next one, or do you want to keep that as a surprise?
We will keep you updated.
All right, fine. Yeah, so that we'll keep that a surprise. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and like always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel as much as you can, and we really appreciate and thank you for all your support.
Yeah, and share your channel with your friends. If you have any question, leave it in the comments. If you have anything that you want us to talk about, please leave it in the comments as well. We go through all the comments, and thank you very much for watching this far. Thank you.